What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you my first impressions of Elden Ring. Now, this is a game I plan on getting 100% on, even if it might be very difficult to do. Normally speaking, what I do is review games after 100%, so that is my goal for this title. However, I like to release these first impressions videos and just talk about them a bit beforehand, and I will likely be releasing some more content for this game as well as I go through it. Now that said, my Steam profile is public down below, but to give a little background on me and Soulsborne games, I don't play a ton of them by any means. I did play and complete the original Dark Souls. However, that was many years ago. I dabbled in a couple of the others, but I never actually bothered to finish them, and I decided this was the title worth going back to it for. Now, I am playing the game on PC, so first impressions wise, right out of the gate, the game is a bit choppy on PC specifically. In certain areas, especially the more open areas, the camera in particular just has a ton of stutter to it, and as the camera moves, your frame rate will just bottom out, especially when you are on horseback. And that definitely makes some of the open world fights a bit frustrating, to be sure. Now, beyond that, I would say the primary impression of Elden Ring is that it is just the best iteration of a Dark Souls game that I have personally played. They have made a lot of refinements, or at least since I've dove into one of these games that I've seen, that make it a bit more approachable while still being very challenging. For instance, they added a small tutorial of sorts that is optional. When you're moving through the starting area, you have an option to go down a side path that will actually walk you through some of the basic mechanics of how everything works, etc. So that was nice to see. And then from there, you can jump out into the open world and see what you can see and basically go anywhere. Now, with it being an open world, so to speak, you can run straight to like the first major boss right away, which I would not recommend doing, but you can do it. I was able to kill this guy, but he is very challenging for a first boss, and I had again not played a Souls-like in quite a while, so I was a little bit rusty, and I died to this guy many times, which I may or may not make a death montage out of just for fun. But my point being is that it's a big open world and it pays to explore it. The horse, which does have a name, Torrent, is fun to ride around on. It is actually very helpful in combat, but it's a dangerous world out there and you have to be careful. That said, exploring does actually seem to reap rewards in the form of items or just finding little hidden areas, that type of stuff, as well as just farming up runes so you can level up your character, as this functions basically the same way it does in all of the Souls-like games, except in this game, the currency, if you will, is called runes. You will use this in shops as well as your experience to level up. Each level up lets you increase an attribute, which then increases the relevant stats, if you will. There is a bunch of gear, you get to upgrade it. There is a full-blown crafting system, actually. There is the smithing system, if you will, that lets you upgrade your gear, and then there's the actual crafting, which will let you make and use a bunch of items out in the world, which I thought was nice. There is fast travel, and there is a bit of a central hub. So rather than bonfires, we have grace, which are these little lights on the ground that you can find, and these function like bonfires, basically. This is where you'll come to level up. Resting here resets all the enemies. If you have the appropriate items, you can upgrade your sacred flasks, which is your healing or your mana, basically. So all of that said, while there are slight tweaks to the formula, so to speak, the core DNA of this game is very much so a Soulsborne game. So with that in mind, my first impressions are, broadly speaking, this is the best iteration of a Soulsborne game that I have played. However, if you don't like that kind of game, you're probably not going to like Elden Ring. I could also see users on PC definitely being upset about the choppy frame rate. It gets annoying pretty quickly, and the starter area actually seems particularly impacted by this, as once you kind of move away from that area, it does clear up a little, but it's still quite the problem, as you're going to be spending a good chunk of time in that starter area. And the last thing I want to leave you on is the story seems interesting, but honestly, it kind of just seems like a reskinned Dark Souls to me, like the original Dark Souls. It really does feel like they took that exact plot and just changed all the names of everything, and that's the plot. Obviously, I'm still pretty early, and I'm hoping it changes up, but the basic setup seems like literally just Dark Souls reskinned to me. So I'm hoping the narrative gets a bit more robust, I guess, for lack of a better word. But there you go, guys. My first impressions of Elden Ring. So far, I am enjoying it. It will likely take me a while to 100% this one, so we'll see how it goes. But in the meantime, truly, just thank you so much for watching. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.